Initial setup. Orcs deploy with their giant to the right, infantry in the center and cavalry to the left. The Tomb Kings line up with their monsters on the right, infantry in the center, and cavalry to the left. In the first command phase, the Orcs blunder their first order, halting their advance on the left flank. Moving on to the right, the Orcs advance their giant, hoping to charge the cavalry in the next turn. This order is also failed. The giant was then charged by a unit of chariots, and was slain instantly, but not before removing 2 of the enemy's stands. On the other flank, the Tomb Kings were successful in issuing multiple orders to their bone giants, allowing them to charge into the Orc cavalry, devastating them, and immediately slaying a full unit of boar riders. After suffering heavy losses in the last round, and with lots of Tomb Kings cavalry charging towards their right flank, the Orcs decide to fall back, taking up a defensive position on the high ground of a nearby hill. With another unit of Orcs almost destroyed, the Tomb Kings feel overconfident, and decide to advance their archers into range in an attempt to disrupt the Orc battle lines. This proves to be a mistake, as they weren't able to do enough damage to drive the Orcs back, and now find themselves in charge range of the boar riders. Along with some infantry, the Orc cavalry crash into the Tomb Kings lines, devastating an entire unit. The rest of the Orc cavalry continue to suffer heavy losses to the first bone giant before finally slaying it, freeing them up to focus everything in a charge against the remaining monster. The Orc boss flies in on his wyvern to support the attack, and manages to drive back the bone giant. After winning on their left flank, and with the right flank looking like a stalemate, the Orcs decide to fall back to reorganize their battle lines as the Tomb Kings continue to pressure the center. On the right side, the Tomb King chariots sit patiently at the bottom of the hill, firing at the infantry in the hopes of driving back sections of their line. At the same time, they advance a unit of cavalry through a gap in the Orcs' formation. The plan was to have the cavalry charge into the flank of the Orcs holding the center, but a failed order forces them to come to a halt. The Tomb Kings instead are forced to use their infantry to wrap around the Orcs. Taking advantage of the Tomb Kings' failed command phase, the Orcs decide to completely ignore the chariots on the right flank, and focus everything on the center. The Orcs lose another unit of infantry in the center, but now have the Tomb Kings enveloped on 3 sides with their backs against the village. With a devastating charge into their flank, the Orc infantry cut down the stationary enemy cavalry before pursuing straight into the remaining Tomb Kings infantry in the center. From near defeat, the Orcs are able to hang on and claw back a victory. After the smoke clears, the Tomb King's general is left wondering what could have happened had he not failed to charge his cavalry in the final command phase.